Hello, BookTube. Recently, Christopher Russell, our little corner of BookTube's resident cartoon hedgehog, made a book haul video. A book haul video that for a haul that was so big he couldn't even show it all on camera. This was after, I don't know, 6, 7, maybe 8 videos in which he complained about having no more room for books, just no more room for books. And it was also after there was a period of much-needed quiet and peace in the haul wars that have been raging on BookTube all spring. I naturally viewed it as a hurled gauntlet, and so I went to the Brattle Bookshop, which is a used bookstore in downtown Boston. You've heard me mention it innumerable times on this channel. I went to the Brattle Bookshop, and I thought, well, I'll just poke around a little. I'll get a few books just to keep my toe in the haul wars waters. And instead, I got 100 pounds of books. I got a gigantic pile of books. Looking at it now, I honestly don't know how I got it back here. I honestly don't. But I did. So I thought I'd show them to you. There's only 2 paperbacks. There's only 1 mass market paperback. Gone are the days when I used to go to the Brattle and get 20 mass market paperbacks and no hardcovers. Gone are those days, apparently. So the first paperback that I got, the only mass market paperback that I got, was a real find. This is something that I was hoping I would see. You don't go expecting anything at the Brattle, but I was hoping I would find it. Because, let me see here. When was this? Yeah, last year, the beginning of last year, I found this. The Early Del Rey, Short Stories of Lester Del Rey, Volume 1. You can see the Volume 1 there. Lester Del Rey was a fantastic editor and encourager of writers, a fantastic, top-notch spotter of talent. He and his wife got their own imprint at Ballantine. He was a first-rate loon. I mean, let's call a spade here. He was no blue M&Ms in his bag. He was just completely insane. But nevertheless talented, and I got that book. As you can tell, it's a little bit worse for wear because I have read it. I have been living in it since then. And the whole while that I was reading that book and being careful with a mass market paperback, I was thinking, I really hope that someday I find Volume 2, and I did. Today, I found the Early Del Rey Volume 2. So I now have both of these things, and that's fantastic. So that was the only mass market paperback. Lester Del Rey's his science fiction short stories are nothing to write home about. They're not bad at all. They're really entertaining, but they're not brilliant. They're just the type of science fiction short stories that I grew up reading, actually. Then we have something that is a rule if you are responding to Christopher Russell. If you are returning a salvo in his egregious escalation of the haul wars, you not only have to have a book haul, but one of the books in your haul has to be the same as one of the books in his haul. So I got Peter Gay's biography of Mozart. This is in the it's got one of these covers. I don't know why people do these. That is gonna get ripped if it stays on my shelves for long. I don't know that it will. I read this and liked it, and I will read it again now. It's one of the Penguin Live series that had so many ups and downs. Some of the things in here are absolutely brilliant, and others are totally forgettable. Peter Gay is good enough so that he's not ever going to write anything that's totally forgettable. But for a little book like this, or even actually a long book on Mozart, including, I've read a lot of biographies of Mozart, including one that was monstrously long. And for me, the yardstick with something like this is, will it send me back to Mozart's music? Because Mozart, of the great classical composers, he's the only one that does nothing for me at all. Almost nothing for me. I shouldn't say that, because I guess we're including absolute frauds like Schoenberg in great classical composers. I guess we're doing that. We're including Wagner, for God's sake. So if we're including people like that, then Mozart does plenty for me, sure. But enchanting me? No, he has never done that. And I always think that a hallmark of a great Mozart biography will be that it will send me to him in a way that will make me open to that enchantment. I've never had a Mozart biography do that. I think I just don't get along with this composer. But I do get along with this author, mostly. So we'll see this. You might see this and think, well, how can this be a great biography? if it's so small. And you might be right to think that, like, for instance, the Oxford Very Short Introduction series, they've done hundreds of them. None of them are very great. None of them are great at all. They are meant to be a pocket portable Wikipedia entry on a subject. There's almost no stylistic difference between any of them. But that's not true for this series. They list the series on the back, and I want to point out the ones that were really, really good. The great Jonathan Spence did a little biography of Mao Zedong that is terrific. It will really stand you in good stead as opposed to getting much bigger works. But there were others. I'm sure they'll be on here. R.W.B. Lewis on Dante was a very good book. Almost no biography in it. It's all just him. Lewis, I mean. But there are others here. John Keegan's book on Winston Churchill is a horrible wasted opportunity. How I wanted that to be better than it was. Here we go. Okay, there are two entries. There's the one by Larry McMurtry is not on here. It's not on this list. It must have come out later. Larry McMurtry did one on this list that was also superb. But there are two on this list that are, three actually, that are really, really good. David Quammen did a Penguin Lives biography of Charles Darwin that is wonderful to read. But there are two truly great entries on this list. One is Roy Blount writing about Robert E. Lee. I would not in a million years think that I would be praising a book about Robert E. Lee, much less written by someone who's not a trained historian. But his book on Robert E. Lee is incredible in this series. And best of all, the best book in this series by a wide margin is Elizabeth Hardwick writing a little book about Herman Melville. Her volume on Herman Melville in this series is amazing. It is amazingly good. So, you shouldn't use your motivation that you are keeping up with the hedgehogs, but nevertheless, I'll give this another try and see. I had to do it anyway because it's a rule. You not only have to respond with a book haul, but you have to include a book from that book haul. So, and it's also a kind of a monkey's paw thing. So if you're watching this book haul and you're feeling the need to respond with a book haul of your own, you've got to have one of the books on this list. So anyway, the next one that I found is the Old Modern Library of the autobiography of Benvenuto Cellini. I have this book in a few different editions, but I wasn't quite sure if this is $1, so I wasn't quite sure that I had this. This was from the old days when the Modern Library came with this kind of beige lunch wrapping paper on it, and only usually these came with just the title and the author on the cover. This has an original commission piece of artwork. So I grabbed it. The nice thing about the Brattle sale lot is that you can take a chance on a whole bunch of stuff. You can take a chance. I didn't take many chances this time around. But still. Then I found this. Boy, oh boy, to find this for a bargain. How wonderful. I spend, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the Brattle Bookshop, in addition to being a fully stocked used bookstore, 3 stories, double stacked rows, lots and lots of stock overturned. They also have a sale lot outside where they have bargain books, $1, $3, and $5. And they don't have just one barrow or 2 barrows like that. They don't even have 10 barrows like the Strand does in New York City. They have a whole lot, the floor plan of an entire other building full of those things. So I spend most of my time out there. I do very little shopping inside the shop. I go into the shop to say hi to the staff and bother them with the same old jokes that I've been telling since the 1950s. But this I was overjoyed to find out there in the sale lot. This is Interpretations. It's a collection of essays by Walter Lippmann, who has a new so-called intellectual biography coming out, or out already. It might be out this Tuesday or out this week. But I read that book, and I'm waiting to get the finished copy, and I reread One of You Found Walter Lippmann in the American Century, and I reread that. I'm sorry to say the trade paperback did not really survive. And the whole time that I was doing that, I mean, the new intellectual biography is not bad, and Walter Lippmann in the American Century is a classic. I'm amazed I can't find a copy in hardcover. I tripped over copies of that in hardcover when I didn't need it, and now that I need it, I can't find it anywhere. But while I was reading those things, rereading the Walter Lippmann and the American Century, I kept thinking, boy, it would be nice to read him. Not parsed in a biography, but him. And here I found a collection of his essays ranging all over the place. And I was noticing when I went through it that the volume is very nicely annotated. It's done in pencil, it's done neatly, and it's done thoughtfully. The person who read through this book, the previous owner, doesn't just say good when they approve of a certain passage, but also annotates passages. Why are you saying this? Why are you thinking that? So I was reading through this thing, and I was really, really enjoying it. Bits and pieces. I will read the whole thing probably tonight. But it reminded me of the cool clarity of Lippmann's prose. Like when he writes, the farmer, on the average, has a much smaller money income than the city man, but it is by no means certain that he has a lower standard of life. For a great many of the things, including food, fresh air, recreation, which the city man has to pay for in dollars, the farmer obtains without the use of money. And I found in the book a piece of paper dated 1955. It's a long, long time ago. That is 70 years ago. Barbara, how remarkable that you should have pointed to one particular essay which long ago clicked with me. It was in 1932 that we were desperately trying to meet a payment on our house, and I confided our worries to a close friend. The friend quoted Walter Lippmann, what Lippmann says of, quote, the black gulf of solitude, close quote. A phrase I've often thought of since, although in other connections. Lippmann makes a good point here in that Holmes, that is Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr., if not now, will someday rate as a philosopher as well as a jurist. Thank you for the book. And then the name, which I think is Ernest Rolach, something like that. I can't quite make out the name, and the name is not anywhere else. The note was given to Barbara with her name on it as a cover, in the old style quasi cursive that that this person must have learned in the 1920s. I don't know who Ernest is, but I'm honored to be going in his footsteps in rereading this book. I'm honored to be doing that. I will of course be reading it with a pencil in hand, and I will be leaving my own annotations, and I will make sure to leave a note in it that I was there as well. So that was wonderful. Now I have some Lippmann. I don't have any other Lippmann, so now I do. Then I found an old novel. This is from the turn of the 20th century. Well, it was copyrighted in 1896, but then Putnam brought it out again with pictures in 1913, and it was a hit. A real hit. It got reprinted 1 million times. I don't exactly know how many times it got reprinted, but it got reprinted a lot. And I've actually owned a copy before, but never at this size. I owned a little gray hardcover of this. This is A Venetian June by Anne Fuller. Not the Anne Fuller who may have... There's an Anne Fuller who may have appeared in your college literary syllabus. This is not her. She wrote popular novels at the turn of the 20th century. And this has illustrations all throughout behind their oh, look at that. It has a pressed flower. Oh, how amazing. Oh, how amazing. I want to find one more picture for you, because I'm never going to show this on camera again, and nobody... This is the story of a young woman whose fussy family brings her to Venice, and of course she falls in love. Here we go. These pictures they're protected by their onion skin, so that they don't leak onto the typed page that you have. So you have the original artwork all throughout here. It's one of 1 million Venice novels, of course, but I love Venice novels, so it's fine. But I've actually read this before, but my hardcover did not look like this, and I don't know exactly where that hardcover is. I might not even have it anymore. But I was happy to get this, happy to read A Venetian June. What you doing, baby? Huh? What are you doing? You want to come over here? Come on up in your window. Oh, no, you can't come next to me, baby. That's where I'm putting the books. Oh, baby girl. That's where I'm putting the books. They'll be in... Oh, baby. Why don't you come up on the back of the couch? There you go. Come on up here. There you go. Go on. There you go. There you go. Oh, no, you want to come down here? Oh, baby. Well, if you want to, you can. I'll put the book somewhere else. I'll find a way. Here, let me... Sorry. A little bit of an emergency here. Let's... There you go. uh, okay, all right. Let's see here. All right, well, next we have this lovely leather-bound thing. Who did this? The Easton Press. Okay, this is the Easton Press edition of The Wind in the Willows. I don't have a really good edition of The Wind in the Willows. This has the Arthur Rackham illustrations all throughout. So that's great. I mean, I'm always on the lookout for books that I return to, books that I really like. This has a little bit of schmutz on the cover there, but it'll easily come off. I'm always on the lookout for really good keeper editions of books that I go back to, and I go back to Wind in the Willows. Okay, then we have something. I'm pretty sure that this made its way to become a Penguin Classic, but I have never seen the Penguin Classic, so I grabbed the hardcover. I've never seen the hardcover either. This is the Penguin book of First World War prose, not poetry, but prose, and this is just going to be a treat. I love anthologies like this anyway, but this is one of the only things I got today that is definitely going in the Little Book Room. This and The Wind in the Willows are definitely going in the Little Book Room. But first, a thorough reread. And then, okay, this next one, I do Hedgehog book recommendations sometimes. I haven't done them in the last couple of days. I do Hedgehog book recommendations of just random books to show you and talk to you about. You all seem to like them, and I like doing it. And in a recent one of those, I showed you a book called The Lunatic Express about building a railway in Africa. And I mentioned that you never see it anymore. You just never see it used anymore. And that certainly you don't see the old Macmillan hardcover that makes reference to the white man in a non-derogatory fashion. That's never going to happen again. So, in the publishing world, until everyone who's in the publishing world has aged out and died, that's never going to happen again. So, I said you might find a reprint somewhere, but you'll never find that. And I found that. I found that exact cover. I found that exact edition of the book. And this is a heck of an adventure story. So I'm happy to have it. Happy to reread it. I was thinking about rereading it when I was doing the Hedgehog book recommendation. Okay, all right, so we're at the 18-minute mark, and now I'm tempted to give a warning. I guess I will, for the panty wastes out there who need a warning. That all the rest of this, I was watching David Murphy. David Murphy has revived his BookTube channel. I'm sure that by now all of you have seen his Q&A. Oh my God. But before he embarrassed himself with his Q&A, he embarrassed himself with his own random book video. He did a video in which he recommends random books, and it went just about as well as you would expect. Oh my God. And at one point in that video, he just loses it. Just loses molecular coherence and starts geeking out about specific operational details of one particular area, of one particular theater of the Second World War. And I was watching that, and I was smiling from ear to ear, of course, because that kind of enthusiasm is why I watch BookTube. And that kind of enthusiasm can often prompt me to get books at the Brattle. Somebody will read Lester Del Rey, or they'll read... I don't even know, Joanna Russ, or travel writing by some particular person, or something or other. And it's not just that they're bringing it up; it's that they're enthusing about it, and I will inevitably act on that enthusiasm. And I love the subject of World War II. I think it is the greatest subject of them all in human history. It's the greatest subject in human history. There might be greater subjects that you can write about. But it's the greatest single discrete subject in human history. And I love it. I love reading about it. But when I was watching David's video, I was thinking, all right, you're not going to do it. You're not going to go overboard. You're not going to go overboard. You're not going to go overboard just because of his enthusiasm. And then I did. Then I went overboard. So the panty waste warning that I guess I have to give so that Hannah knows when to stop watching is that all the rest of these are World War II books. Half of this pile is World War II books because of David Murphy. And a lot of them, I think, all of them are rereads. Oh, no, one of them I think is not. One of them I don't think I've ever read. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. So the first one I have not only read but reviewed. I can't for the life of me remember where I reviewed this. This is by James Hornfisher, and it's his book, The Fleet at Flood Tide, about the American War in the Pacific and in its headiest, most violent final days. And I could swear that I reviewed this. I want to say that I reviewed it for the American Conservative. I don't remember if that's true. I don't remember where I reviewed this, but I feel certain that I did. I liked it quite a bit. And David's video had a lot to do, and also his library tour had a lot to do, not only with the naval war in the Pacific, but with the Pacific just in general, including operational stuff and the beginning of the war in the Pacific, which is Pearl Harbor, and also island hopping. So I was in the right frame of mind to get a book like this. So I did. I will gladly give it a reread. This is what? I'm not going to say 10 years, but it's not far off from 10 years, is it? This is probably the teens. The 20-teens. 2016, yeah. So I found that. Then I found Peter Caddick Adams wrote a trilogy of big fat books on discrete parts of World War II. They're terrific, absolutely terrific. I feel certain that I have reviewed these as well. I feel certain that I have. But I found his book on the Battle of the Bulge, Snow and Steel, and I didn't have a printed copy, so I grabbed it. But I mainly grabbed it because I'm a detail freak when it comes to stuff like this. I like this book anyway, but I have it as an ebook. The reason I grabbed this is because it is a format I've never seen before. It's a naked hardcover with the cover just printed on it. This is not the dust jacket. This is just the book, and I've never seen that before. I kind of, I guess, do want a print and paper copy of this. I think it's a fantastic account of the Battle of the Bulge. Then we have the one World War II book that I don't think I've read. If I've read it, it didn't look like this, and this is a kind of dodgy paperback, so maybe this is some kind of print-on-demand thing. Maybe I have read this. I'll know when I read it right away. This is about Admiral Cunningham. It's by John Winton, and it's about the guy who ran the show in the Mediterranean theater. Made lots and lots of vital decisions. Cunningham was a very good decision maker. He had a reputation that he somewhat cherished as a go straight at him fighter, but he wasn't. He wasn't such a person. His record doesn't show it. And I got a kick out of the subtitle, "The Greatest Admiral Since Nelson." Not only is that a bit of a stretcher, because this book was written by a friend of Cunningham's, but also Cunningham would have loved that. He would have loved that name. I'm sure that it was bruited to him in his own lifetime, in his own hearing, and probably made him smile just a bit. But if you're the greatest commander, the greatest admiral since Nelson, you won't need someone to call you that. And if you were to ask someone, first of all, can we be frank here? Can we, as long as we're on the subject of World War II, can we be frank here? Again, I don't want to get Joe Spivey all upset, but if there's going to be a greatest admiral since Nelson, it's going to be a goddamn American. Okay, it's not going to be anyone else. It's going to, okay, but I mean, Winton himself, I think, wrote a biography of Admiral Jellicoe. So what is he saying? Since the greatest since Nelson, this guy nobody's ever heard of now. Anyway, the reason that I smiled at this is because another book that I got. Sorry, I have to rearrange these books because I've got a sleeping little angel here who's decided that that's where she wants to sleep, right where I was going to put all these books. The reason that I smiled a little extra at that for Cunningham is because I also got this. I got another copy of E.B. Potter's biography of Admiral Burke, who was certainly a better admiral than Cunningham. Certainly, if you're going to give out those accolades, I don't think it would go to Burke either, but it would certainly go to him more than to Cunningham. And Burke was a fascinating figure. I think hauled this book before on this channel. I get it and give it away to naval history and naval biography people who don't have access to something like the Brattle. I totally understand that. I totally understand. I have seen this very book probably 6 times. at the Brattle in the course of the time that I've been shopping there since it came out. When in most used bookstores, your local used bookstore is never going to get this. Never going to get a copy. And if they do, it's not going to get 6 of them. So when I see something like this, I can actually say, well, I'll see it again. But it's really enjoyable. Burke is a great figure to write about anyway. He was a big figure in the Pacific, and had a lot of he was a go-get-'em admiral. He was a go-get-'em commander, and often commented that action at sea can turn on a dime, that it can turn on exactly the right decision at exactly the right moment. His famous quote, I wonder if I'll get it correct, David probably knows it. His famous quote was, he told a subordinate, I think, or maybe it was a fellow admiral. Well, anyway, the quote was something like, do you know what the difference between a good commander and a bad commander is? Or maybe he said a good officer and a bad officer. And you're expecting you're going to get a disquisition on the traits of a good officer. He said, but you don't get that. He said, do you know what the difference between a good commander and a bad commander is? About 10 seconds. Which Burke was a square-jawed, blue-eyed killer. He was a bit of a lunkhead. But it is given even to lunkheads occasionally to say an essential truth. And that is true. When you're in a live fire zone, when you're in an active theater of war, the difference between a good commander and a bad commander is 10 seconds. And that's going to be a lot of fun to read about. I'd read this book before, but I'm glad to have it. So you notice, not only were a lot of these books World War II, when I was telling myself, don't fall under the spell, don't fall under the spell. There are also a lot of them are naval World War II. Which is, even more under the spell. So, for instance, I found this. Well, I've read this before. I'm pretty sure I wrote about this. This is Craig Simon's book, World War II at Sea, A Global History. Great, big book, really comprehensive, really, you wouldn't think you could do the subject justice at this much, in what, believe it or not, is a short book for the subject, but still, really, really good, really, really quotable. And again, I could swear that I reviewed it somewhere. Actually, the irony here is that I'll have to ask David Murphy, who is pretty much an archivist for everything that I've written. I'm sure that if it can be found, he can find it. And then finally, we can finish up with the end of World War II. This is an author I've praised on this channel many times, Stanley Weintraub. He is not an expert in any one thing. He picks a subject and goes at it. He did 2 really good books about World War II. This is the second one. This is The Last Great Victory, about the end of the war. He also did one about the beginning of the war, in the American participation in the war. This is a great big thing. It's Kahneman. I get the strong sense when I open these books. When you all open your books, your used books, you're wafting for the used book smell. And that's because that smell is really noticeable and your noses are virtually useless. When I'm doing this, I'm mainly seeing if the same person owned all these books by having their scent in it. And I think the same person did for a lot of these things. But I would gladly reread this. This came out when? In the 90s? Weintraub is just so good. He's just so enjoyable. This came out in 1995. So this is The Last Great Victory, and then the one for the beginning of the war was Long Day's Journey into War, I think, something like that I don't currently have, but maybe it'll turn up. So there you go. There you go. A gigantic raft of World War II tomes. As if. But anyway, let's see if we can do a steep pyramid here. It's going to be a little difficult, not because of the weight, but because the beam made me shift all the books. We have The Last Great Victory. We have World War II at Sea. We have Admiral Arleigh Burke. We have Cunningham, the greatest admiral since Nelson, if you don't count all the others. I mean, Jellicoe, for Pete's sake, you're leaving him out. Maybe the 21st century has the same kind of dodgy assessment of Jellicoe's reputation as the 20th century did, which would be a damn shame. Not to be all World War II, all World War I guy on you. Then Snow and Steel. In this naked hardcover, we have The Fleet at Flood Tide. And then we're done with World War II. Then we have The Lunatic Express, in exactly the edition I thought I would never find. We have the Penguin book of World War I in verse. How incredible. Ooh. Oh, no. Here, let's do all the rest of these. Oh, God. Oh, God. We have The Wind in the Willows in this Easton Press thing. I ordinarily don't care about fancy pants presses, but it was $1, and it's beautiful. We have Venetian June, an old Venice novel. What fun that will be to read. This, we have Interpretations by Walter Lippmann, owned and annotated by a smart cookie before me, so that's wonderful. That adds to the wonder of it. We have Benvenuto Cellini. I will check the shelves in the Little Book Room and see whether or not this is in better condition to replace an older one. And finally, Peter Gay's little biography of Mozart, and the early Del Rey Volume 2 to go along with Volume 1. So now I have these as a set. That is wonderful. So there you go. A retaliatory Brattle book haul from all the ships at sea. So I will wrap this up for now, and I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.